character? Well, today I'm going to be going down the list of the most disliked characters and figure out who's the worst one of all time. Starting at number 10, we have Hank Huckerdoo. For starters, since his family is meant to keep the reputation of being as perfect as they can be, Hank will go to such extreme lengths just to keep it that way. In his debut episode, he straight up throws a tray of cookies at Susie and Timmy just because they failed to sing how he wanted. He also seems to be a complete restrictive maniac, not even allowing the kids to play games or even have any toys, and only wants them to get good at what he wants them to.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, all three. How was that, Father? $1,000 a week in voice lessons, and that's the effort you give me! You take your asses upstairs!
Hank really needs to face some consequences sometime soon, and not only is he one of the worst characters from 2023, but kinda one of the worst characters of all time. Next at number 9, we have Babs, aka Barbra. She's a newer character as she was introduced just 2 years ago in SML movie Broken Guy's Thanksgiving, where we see the relationship between her and Broken Guy, and she's a very bad mother to him, but for some reason, she's really nice to Jonathan, even though he doesn't do anything with his life, which just goes to show that she doesn't really care about her kids and more so cares about the attention that she gets from them. As well, she's been doing some very inappropriate things with Broken Guy's own partner, Simmons, and Broken Guy has to live with that, and he even has to witness it in SML movie Jeffy and Junior's Hotel, which must have scarred him for life.
That's the room service. Come on inside and look what I'm doing to Simmons' balls.
Mom?
And now at number 8, we have Dewey Done Did It. Dewey is by far one of the most hated one-time characters in the whole SML universe. And there's good reason for that. Dewey is completely rude to everybody, and he's what you'd probably get if you made Goodman a bad guy. After seeing the video that Rosalina posted to YouTube, he ends up visiting the SML residence and offers Mario, Rosalina, and Jeffy their own TV show. The problem is that they're completely unaware that Dewey is a con artist, and he eventually completely replaces everyone in the show and gets away with it. And there's fair reason to see why he got so much backlash, and I honestly feel bad for Tito since his character is on the list of the characters that he's played and he doesn't appear much in SML, and it even showed his face. And at number 7, we have Karen. We've had too many minor characters on this list, so how about we have a recurring character? Hence that's why she's only number 7 on the list, and she's surprisingly the only one with a few redeemable things about her. I'll admit she's tolerable in most of her appearances, but sometimes she's extremely annoying, which was seen in her earlier days where she would just whine about practically everything.
Take the Christmas tree. Let's get the Christmas tree. You can get a light.
Do you not have a shut up button?
Karen's undoubtedly at her worst in Mario's Christmas tree problem, and in that video she's a nightmare. However, in modern videos she's somewhat redeemed herself a bit, as instead of being a complete idiot, she's actually gained a bit of a brain, and she's honestly just a much better wife than a certain someone we'll touch on later. At number 6, a controversial one, we have Jeffy. So 2016 to 2017, which was the dark age of SML, Jeffy initiated Order 66 on their own channel, demonetizing it and forcing older characters out of the show as he took over, and his fan base grew more and more with a ton of little kids. And the one saving grace it caused is that it actually allowed Junior to become a good character, because in the older days he was undoubtedly a pretty bad character as he was extremely spoiled, just like the real person that he's based on, which is Logan's sister, Haley. He's basically what you'd get if you took Caillou, made him even more annoying, and made him one of the most iconic Mario villains of all time. Most people agree that Junior in the earlier days was insufferable and the biggest stain to SML. However, he was one of the biggest reasons that SML grew, and without him we wouldn't be where we are today. However, I'll give Logan credit that he made Junior somewhat likable at times, since he was surprisingly tolerable in the summer school series, since he wasn't constantly screaming 24/7. And this series is what actually blew up SML past 500,000 subscribers, which is what Junior is best known for. But what makes him even more infamous is his downright abusive behavior to Chef Pee-Pee. In almost every single video, Junior would either be screaming like a brat or annoying Chef Pee-Pee. And what's even worse is that Junior always gets away with this. He always faces no punishment and acts the same way 24/7 because his dad doesn't pay attention to him and Chef Pee-Pee can't do anything. Now at number 5, we had two characters that just completely went away, and that's Officer Top and Bottom. 2020 was definitely an interesting year for SML, and during this year, Poopy would have to quarantine for most of it, only being around physically for episodes like the baseball game. And as as a result, Cody, Broken Guy, and his other big characters couldn't be around as much, so to compromise, Logan would have to backtrack and make temporary replacements until Poobie could return. As a result, we got characters like Harry, who I actually didn't mind and isn't one of the characters on this list. Instead, that honor goes to this duo of characters, Officer Top and Bottom. The problem with these two is that their whole character was one big joke. They would say a bunch of innuendos and usually go, hey, afterwards, with Top spanking Bottom occasionally as well.
Oh no, looks like somebody broke in the safe and left it wide open.
I was wide open earlier.
Oh, now you're just begging.
I don't have to beg.
Hey.
I honestly would want to see what would happen if they stuck around though. They might have gotten some character development, but they were really disliked by the fan base. Now for the next spot at number 4, we have to think about this. This is a character that I personally have beef with, or just one that I dislike so much, and he's the main star of the show at times, Marvin. Specifically him in any video where someone disguises themselves as Jeffy. This is a big factor as to why I genuinely despise drawing Jeffy as much as I do, because in that, Mario and Rosalina were so oblivious to how drawing Jeffy wasn't the real Jeffy. In fact, I was heavily on Jeffy's side in a time where I even disliked him at points. And luckily, the series actually does provide some reasonable explanation for why Mario can't see. In Jeffy Skips School, it's hinted that Mario suffers from prosopagnosia, a neurological condition characterized by the inability to recognize faces of familiar people. Now, this would make sense if this implication didn't come out of nowhere. Not once in the entire series was Mario shown to have been suffering from this. No social anxiety, no nothing. Mario should really be able to tell that his own son doesn't sound like Black Yoshi, Broken Guy, or even his own grandfather, which have all cosplayed as Jeffy, but he buys it anyway because of his apparent prosopagnosia. Now, because of how Mario acts in these videos, I'm not just gonna say, oh, all his videos with Marvin suck. No, these are good videos, except drawing Jeffy. However, there are some good ones, like Jeffy Sneaks Out is by far one of the best 2017 videos. Jeffy's Home Alone and Jeffy's Summer School are pretty good 2018 videos, and Jeffy Skips School is your usual good 2019 video. Now, at number 3, we have another main character, but who could it be? Who could be another main character that is so bad that they're in the top 3? And that's Broklyn Guy. Now, I'm not counting Broklyn as a character in general. Instead, this is Broklyn Guy during and after Jeffy's 18th birthday, which was a shocking downfall, as Broklyn Guy was by far one of the best characters on the channel. He was witty, sarcastic, had good writing in the episodes, and was really funny. He was a massive fan favorite and very rarely had bad appearances. But all of that took a nosedive after Jeffy turned 18. Somehow, Broken Guy had a massive downsell and is now the opposite of what he used to be, to a point that even Jonathan is sometimes funnier than he is. But why is Broken Guy so bad now? Well, it's simple. He's just unfunny and usually doesn't serve a purpose in the videos. Now, using SML movie Cody's Butterfingers for an example, in that video, he just shows up out of nowhere to put out the fire. Like, how do you even know that there was a fire? He could have been called off screen, but the thing is, Cody was the one who was supposed to get that fire extinguisher, and Junior and Chef Phoebe never said that they called the fire department, since they specifically told Cody to do it when putting the fire out. Now, it's sad to see this happen to Broken Guy, since again, he was one of the most liked characters on the channel. However, there are still some good appearances nowadays. Like in SML movie Broken Guy the Assassin, that was one of my favorite videos, so he's not all bad. Now, at number 2, we have every single ex-boyfriend of Rosalina. The problem with this is that their whole purpose is just to have beef with Mario. Of course, I'm excluding D-Money because he's a great character in general, and Shrek since he's also good, but again, they're all so boring and most of them are just generic. Super D and Super Big D are at least somewhat unique, but the problem is the lack of continuity. As in SML movie Jeffy's Crayons, it hints that Super D may have gotten with Rosalina at one point in time, when in SML movie The Hypnosis Ray, Super D is back to stealing Rosalina, and Brad, Dak, and Randy don't fare any better, being the cliche hot football guy, the lifeguard, or the high school bully. Plus, unlike the Jeffy switching roles videos, most videos with these guys are just bad. Now, before we get to number 1, there are some honorable mentions. Joseph, specifically in Joseph the Millionaire being as infamous as it is, this episode was later confirmed to be not canon just by how much hate that he got, because it just turned him into another Goodman style character. However, I'm excluding him from the main list because this is just one episode where he's bad. But now for number 1, and you guessed it, it's none other than Rose. But here's the thing, I'm not just adding Rose in general on here, as she was such a good character in the beginning. I swear to you, she was my favorite character of all time. The way she appeared in Mario's Valentine's Day problem. When Peach and Mario were having problems and Rosalina came by and really showed Mario what it's like to have a good girlfriend. But after 2016, oh my god, I hate her with a passion. First off, she never properly gives characters, mainly Mario, time to explain something and immediately just comes to the conclusion that Mario is cheating on her because she's completely brainless. In SML movie Jeffy's online school, Mario was tricked into going to an adult site and Rosalina just immediately assumes that he's cheating on her and doesn't believe a single thing. Not to mention that she's literally a hypocrite because she constantly talks to her exes in front of Mario, but apparently when Mario does it, it's somehow wrong. Another reason that she's so disliked is that she's always on Jeffy's side and rarely, if ever, is on Mario's side for things. She's always there to encourage Jeffy's bad behavior and lead to more unwanted Mario torture. And of course, there's the whole Jeffy being creative thing that she always uses to defend Jeffy. Oh, he's just being creative. No, sometimes Jeffy needs to be punished. It's just so repetitive at this rate that it's annoying. And I'll tell you this, if there's ever a video where Jeffy outright sets the school on fire, she's just gonna say, oh, he's being creative, he's learning chemistry. Now, as everyone agrees, Rose/Rosalina is one of the worst SML characters of all time. But that's it for this list. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and let me know what your list would be, and click on this video here.